Well, hello, welcome back to the teaching series, The Jesus That John Knew. And we left our teaching last week with a bit of a cliffhanger, didn't we? The man had been healed. He then proceeded to walk down the street with his mat on his back, had obviously been confronted and challenged by the Jews who wanted to know what on earth he thought he was doing, breaking the Sabbath laws by illegally carrying his mat. He put himself in a position because of that where he now is absolutely liable and guilty and can be stoned. He then takes leave of that. He obviously denounces the fact that he denies any kind of responsibility in it. When he's challenged about, well, who told you to do that, he then passes the blame off on Jesus, but doesn't know who Jesus is, so can't actually put the finger on Jesus, so he's a pretty unreliable witness, and then takes himself off to the temple where one assumes that he's worshipping. Jesus comes to meet him in the temple, and I think that this story is really very interesting. And I think Jesus has come into the temple and said to him, "Do you seriously think I saved you for church? What, are you stupid?" It's almost like, what are you doing here? And the lovely part of this story for me, and incidentally, I'm not saying I don't think people should go to church. I'm saying that what I think is interesting about this is that this man has been part of a community of invalids or invalids trying to validate himself by some kind of external means, that if this angel would just hover over the pool, and if he could just be the one that makes his way down the steps first and tips himself into the water before all the other invalids get there, then he would be cleansed and made whole. Now, having been cleansed and made whole, he now finds himself in the temple. I'm not sure he's in the temple worshipping, because the scripture doesn't say that. It said he's in the temple. And I don't know what he's doing in the temple, but my suspicion is what he's doing is he's joined another group of invalids trying to validate themselves by external forms of righteousness. And Jesus is coming to him saying, "What are you doing?" And more to the point, it says, Jesus said, and he found him afterwards in the temple, and he said, "Listen, you better, I see that you're well." And the man say, "Yes, isn't this fantastic? Here I am with my new robes of self-righteousness, and look at my new shoes, and I can walk and stuff. Isn't it fabulous? And by the way, I'm in here and I'm going to do my time, and I'm going to keep my head down, and I hope that if I keep my church service up, then maybe they won't stone me after all. Maybe they will use me as a testimony, and let me give testimonies about stuff, as long as I obviously recant of doing this ridiculously wicked thing which I did, which was, you maybe do incidentally, by the way, which was walking down the road in my bed." And Jesus says, "Listen, you better sin no more, my friend, lest that something worse may happen to you." Now, I know where traditionally we've taken that in our teaching. Traditionally, people have thought that if this man lapses into sin, then it's a proof positive that grace is conditional and that the healing will be removed and he'll be an invalid again. But I'm not sure that's really what is the spirit of what's being said here. It feels to me, as I look at this story, as if something very different is happening. What seems to me to be happening is Jesus saying simply this: "Listen, my friend, let me just explain something to you. You are not off the hook, not by a long shot. You committed a Sabbath infraction. Now, you got to understand how serious that is. As far as I can see, you are up to your neck in this thing. My friend, you're a sinner. You're a lawbreaker. And if you don't act now, and I mean now, something worse than being sick will happen to you. I'm telling you, make no mistake about that. They will come back and they will stone you to death, because as far as your accusers are concerned, you might think you're all nice and happy up in the church now, but let me tell you something, as far as your accusers are concerned, you are in trouble. Now listen, I'm the one that got you into this mess. It wasn't your idea. You didn't want us to get healed. It wasn't your idea. I was the one that told you to carry your bed. I was the one who told you to take it down the street. So here's the thing. I got you into this mess. Let me get you out of the mess. I'll take the heat for you. Just let me take the punishment. You go and tell them it was Jesus Christ of Nazareth that made you walk. You go ahead and tell them that." You were right, remember? It was me, it wasn't you. It wasn't your idea, it was my idea. So just go and tell them. Now look at what happens. Verse 15. The man went away and told the Jews that it was Jesus that had healed him. Now, it's impossible for me not to connect those two dots. You've got to connect those dots. So the man said to himself, whoa, you know what? You could be right. So he runs to the Jews and says to them, fellas, look, I get it. I can give you what you want. You never seen one of these movies where somebody states evidence, and the bargain is that they get immunity from prosecution if they think they're Mr. Big. Well, here it is. He goes and says, look, you don't want me. I'm just some lame guy that was lying by a pool for 30 years who broke the Sabbath. Here's the prize. The prize is Jesus. This guy made me do it. Now watch. So, verse 16. And this was why the Jews were persecuting Jesus, because he was doing these things on the Sabbath. But Jesus answered, my Father is working until now, and I am working. Verse 18. And this is why the Jews were seeking all the more to kill him, because not only was he breaking the Sabbath, but he was even calling God his own Father and making himself equal with God. So now we have the real crux of the matter. Jesus has brought the conflict right to where he wants it. Jesus has brought us right into the eye of the storm. You see, we had a situation previously where we had physically infirm, where we had the physically deaf, the physically blind. But now Jesus has come into the sheep gate once again, and this time he's brought himself face to face with the spiritually deaf and the spiritually blind. There's only one course of action open to them now. This man must die. He's got to be killed. And I can almost hear the old 1980s TV show where old Hannibal Smith in the A-Team used to say, oh, I love it when a plan comes together. And you just feel that. That's kind of almost what Jesus wanted, because he wanted to draw them into this engagement. Verse 19, so Jesus said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, the Son can do nothing on his own accord, but only what he sees the Father do. For whatever the Father does, that the Son does. So now Jesus has drawn them into this conflict. And now we're going to see how Jesus sets himself in contrast with the spiritually blind, with the spiritually impaired, with the spiritually deaf. Listen to what he says, because remember I said to you before that when the good shepherd comes, the one who is going to be the shepherd of the flock doomed to destruction, in Zechariah chapter 11, he brings with him two staffs, favour and union. Now we've seen the staff of favour, that staff that is able to lead by still waters, that the good shepherd staff of the 23rd Psalm. We've seen that staff used to lead our anonymous man out from the bondage of this invalidity that he has and into the wholeness of life, with this ability now to walk in the Spirit. And Jesus, not only that, has taken the heat from this man as well. They're no longer interested in the invalid man. Now he's gone, he's out of the sea, he can get on with his life. Now the focus is, and the heat is on Jesus, the venom. He's drawn all the death into himself, which of course is the nature of God. Now we have to move to the second of the two staffs, which is the staff about unions. And let's watch what happens. Truly I say to you, the Son can do nothing on his own accord. The Son can do nothing of his own accord. Only what he sees the Father doing. For whatever the Father does, does that the Son do likewise. For the Father loves the Son and shows him all things that he himself is doing. And greater works than these will be shown him, so that you may marvel. For as the Father raises the dead and gives life to them, so also the Son gives life to him whom he will. The Father judges no one, but has given all judgment to the Son, that all may honour the Son, just as they honour the Father. Whoever does not honour the Son does not honour the Father who sent him. Truly I say to you, whoever hears my word and believes in him who sent me has eternal life. He does not come into judgment, but has passed from death to life. Truly I say to you, the hour is coming and is now here when all the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear will live. For as the Father has life in himself, so he has granted to the Son also to have life in himself. and he has given him authority to execute judgment because he is the Son of Man. Don't marvel at this hour that is coming, when all who are in their tombs will hear his voice and will come out, and those who have done good to the resurrection of life, and those who have done evil to the resurrection of judgment. I can do nothing on my own. As I hear, I judge. My judgment is just, because I don't seek to do my own will, but to do the will of him who sent me. I alone bear witness about myself. My testimony is true. It is not deemed. Sorry. So do you hear where Jesus is going to with this? He's drawing the people into the depths of the mystery. And one of the things that we need to understand is this: Jesus did nothing on his own accord. He did nothing on his own authority. And there is this truth that we must appropriate if we're going to be people that walk in the Spirit. That it's not about learning and knowing and copying and mimicking and initiating. It's about affirming the truth of who we are, our sonship, our oneness with God. It's about this ability to be able to see him and allow him to live and function his life through us. And Jesus is saying, look, I and the Father are one. It's just in the same way that the man is able to say to the Jews, don't blame me, blame Jesus. He made me do it. Jesus is able to say, listen, don't you understand? It's not me that's doing it. It's my Father who you worship, my Father who you claim to be God. He's doing it. I'm doing that which I see through him. You're doing things that you think will please him. You're trying to gain his approval by acts of righteousness. I know that I am approved of, and I am living my life through him, and he is living his life through me and as me. And that is the entire basis and the entire nature of the Christian life. And anybody that lives like that will have the authority to give life. And that is precisely what Jesus did at the pool of Bethsaida. And it is precisely what you and I have been empowered to do at the pool of Bethsaida, that we spend all our lives in working environments, in social environments, in our pastoral environments. When we come across the lame and the infirm and the invalid, we have the power to be able to say to them, take up your bed and walk. But it's not something that you do of your own initiative, not something you do because you think it's a good idea. You do and only do that which you see the Father doing. And it's key. It's that which you see the Father doing in you. But let's finish this with asking ourselves this one question again. Do you want to be well? Because if you do, there's healing in the new covenant. God bless you. Bye-bye.